Biggie, give us pun, give us triple X. Take that nigga Trump with you, that's a bigger threat. There's too much power for a coward with no intellect. That's a bigger with a collar, there's a disconnect. Niggas die.
Just got real.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's saying if you can save us, show us a way. And, I mean, the book he's holding tells us the way.
What makes you so sure?
Because, yeah, I mean...
What's up, guys? We are back.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Dad, what do you do for a living?
Pastor of church.
Yes, he does. Yeah. That's that, and there's the introductions. Welcome back.
Thanks. Good to be back.
This is a special thing, special video. This guy, Joyner Lucas, this was the first video me and you ever reacted to.
Yeah, really?
It's the same guy.
Okay.
So he just came out with this song, and want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Yeah. You ready?
I guess.
All right.
Let's do it.
Father, forgive me. I'm staring at this Bible as I keep glancing. Dear Lord, I got questions and I need answers. I'm trying to understand your vision, all I see is damage. Just a bunch of dead bodies in the street camping. A bunch of lost souls on their feet standing. We supposed to be your children, I thought we family. You supposed to be my father, bro, I need answers. We don't need to die young, we just need chances. Tired of living on the edge, so we keep scrambling. Trying to talk to these strippers, but they keep dancing. We just want to be number one like Steve Francis. Bow our heads, say a prayer, now the seeds planted. Everywhere I turn, I'm seeing MCs vanish. Lot of good niggas gone, I don't understand it. Lot of families lost and they seeds stranded. I ain't trying to disrespect you, I just need answers. I know you.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, he's setting the stage. He's obviously seeing a lot of evil and the increase of evil and a lot of things going wrong around him and looking for answers. And I mean, obviously he feels like that God has the answers, but he's not seeing the change. He's not seeing the results that he would like to see, or what perhaps he understands is in the Bible.
Yeah.
That changes that people can make.
So I think this is a conversation that people have a lot to God. Interestingly enough, I don't know if Joyner Lucas claims to be a Christian. If he is Christian, I don't know. Obviously, that he's writing the song like it's a prayer. But that's something that immediately, this is only the second time I'm watching it. So immediately, what the question that I was asking to myself is okay, does he claim to be a Christian? Because if he's not, he's still writing a song like he's talking to God. I just think that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that even people that don't follow Jesus or follow God, still there's something, the way we're created to believe there's something beyond us that can help us. I mean, that's inherent in any religion in the world that's apart from Jesus or God the Father, Holy Spirit. I mean, any religion, there's something beyond the individual that can help us. And people, again, they have different ideas of how that being or whatever can help them. And so, I mean, that's the cry of a human being. Things are going wrong. God, help me, or change things. And why don't you?
Yeah. All right.
Watching us from heaven, thinking who to save. Cherry picking who should go next and who should stay. I'd be on my way to heaven if I knew the way. And bring back every good nigga you choose to take. They say you never wrong, but you done made a few mistakes. Cause you taking the wrong niggas, maybe you should trade. Trade us back all the real ones, remove the fakes. I think you should trade. Give us Tupac back and take that nigga shook. Let the legend resurrect that he gon' live for good. I been screaming thug life in every different hood. If only you can bring him back, Lord, I wish you would. Give us Biggie, give us Pun, give us triple X. Take that nigga Trump with you, that's a bigger threat. There's too much power for a coward with no intellect. That's a bigger with a collar, there's a disconnect. Niggas die.
Just got real.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's saying if you can save us, show us a way. And, I mean, the book he's holding tells us the way.
What makes you so sure?
Because, yeah, I mean, I guess I just accept the fact of that what's written there is true, and also a changed life. And you have to accept it by faith or believe in it that it's true, and then you people that do, it's a changed life. You can't deny changed life. So
I mean, it gets into nature versus nurture.
what's that?
Nature versus nurture?
Yeah.
You never heard nature versus nurture?
Oh, well, I mean, I could put my definition on it, but what's yours?
I'm curious to what yours is.
That's the first time I've heard you say it in that way. So what's your
Nature versus nurture. It's like, okay, let's just take the Christian faith, for example, right? So nurture would be that, like, of course, I don't really know where I'm at in the whole spectrum of what I believe right now, but like growing up in a Christian home, it would be like, I'm a Christian, versus, and that would be like nurture. So it would almost be like I adopted that, versus, a nature, which would be, what if you weren't a pastor? What if you weren't a Christian? And it was kind of like, you believe what you want to believe, or you believe what you feel like is truth. And that was how I grew up. And it was just more of a nature thing. Obviously, it's way more different than that. And I'm butchering it to an extent, but I'm using that as an example. You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I was trying to think of an analogy outside of that. I mean, obviously, say if I was a woodworker and you were my son, and wouldn't you be further along if you desired to do woodworking for a living? I did woodworking for a living, and I was successful, and you desired to do it. Wouldn't you be further along if I would teach you, nurture you in woodworking, versus you go out and learn nothing from me and start on your own with somebody else?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, I agree with that.
Right.
I totally get that.
Right. And so faith is the same way. I mean, obviously, each person has to own it on their own, but you're a lot further along if somebody is living it authentically and you grow up in that, versus you are in an environment, that's totally evil, and then all of a sudden you see the light. There's a lot more things to work out versus being not born into the light. You have to choose, but you're further along, obviously, than being in a total evil environment, transitioning over to a God environment.
Yeah.
But back into what he's saying, obviously, we don't know how he grew up or his understanding of God and everything. We're just listening to his song and we're making conjectures based on that. So, there's a lot that we don't know that we're trying to believe that we do, and, it's kind of, after all, it gets a little fruitless.
Yeah.
To project when we don't realize we're just responding to a song. So it's limited.
Yeah. All right. Let's keep going.
Dying, mama crying, grandma need a tissue. Niggas shooting up a church, now I need a pistol. All them niggas still living, you don't see the issue. But how you taste a leader, then you take a leader with you. I ain't tryna disrespect, just need a meter with you. I ain't tryna overstep, just want a reason with you. Give us back our loved ones and take the evil with you. Send them suckers straight to hell, they don't need a vigil. I need you to give us back Martin Luther. Take Martin Shkreli, give us back Malcolm. Take R. Kelly, R.I.P. Lil Snoop, get that boy's life back. Take Eric Holder, give us Eric right back. I'm sending you this message, Lord, I hope you hit me right back. They say I'm on the wrong train, I know I'm on the right track. Cause Trayvon gone and all he did was try to fight back. Zimmerman walk around free, we don't like that. Why you take our mothers from us? Fathers and our sisters and our cousins from us. Got these children getting murdered while they double dutching. Wonder why the fuck you take Nipsey Hussle from us. Damn, you took a true king, a true brother from us. This a fucking marathon, but they running from us. Now everybody got guns, niggas up to something. And every gangster wanna prove that they tough or something. You know it's not fair, tell the truth. I've been in my feelings too. But if you took Emmett Till, at least take Dylan Roof. At least take James Holmes. I ain't even mad at that. Just bring back Whitney and give us Michael Jackson back. Feds want me, and then slam it down. Ain't no justice for Sandra Bland, we up like a sailing fan. Lord, if you listen, I'm just looking for a hand in hand. Take out the fuck niggas and give us back our fam again.
Well, the slant that I pick up from that is that God is in control. That he's controlling everything like puppets. He's deciding, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to not take this one. but he's leaving out personal choice. That people make decisions that put themselves on certain roads, and they have made a choice in that, and God's not necessarily involved. I mean, yeah, he's involved in, breath and life, but he's not involved in a sense of always making the decision of what road they make and what choice they make in life. And so I would prefer saying God's in charge rather than God's in control.
I can't get past the fact that it's all like to everyone listening to this song. It's like the prerequisite here in the topic of conversation is that God exists.
Yeah.
I mean he's praying to God in the song, talking to God, and the song's called Devil's Work. So obviously if you believe God exists, then there's a devil. Like there's always opposites.
Oh, so my assumption so far is that he believed God exists.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
I totally, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I
never questioned that he didn't believe God didn't exist.
Yeah. That's
okay.
That's this is the point I'm making.
Okay.
For the song, regardless of whatever he believes, whatever he if he claims to be a Christian or believes in God or whatever, it's like this whole topic of conversation only happens if you believe that God exists. What if you believe that he doesn't?
Well,
then it's just like...
Well, yeah, you'd be singing a different song.
Well, yeah, you'd be singing a different song, but at the same time, it's like obviously I'm talking about like a higher truth rather than this song. It's like if God doesn't exist, and it's like the paths that you go down are like what you're saying, what I'm getting from what you're saying is it's like you have free choice. So if you go down this path that you chose and you make a wrong choice, these people in their case, they died. They made a right or wrong choice, and there was some sort of supernatural intervention at the end of it all, whether good or bad. But I'm saying like if God doesn't exist, then it's like there was no devil or God. It was just this bad stuff happens.
Well, yeah, and so if God doesn't exist, then that's a very helpless way to live, because you can't change anything, because there's no power to change anything, because there's not a higher power to go to for help, so therefore you're helpless. To me, if he doesn't believe that God exists, why is he singing about something that's false? That doesn't even compute to me.
Yes, that's another point I want to make, is that I think I would be willing to bet that a lot of people have prayed prayers like this or something that don't even claim to really believe in God, but it's like once they come to an end of something or reach the final road or that final string snapped, then they find themselves praying.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why I wonder, is he a Christian? Does he believe in God, or has he just snapped? And so he's like, help, because I don't know where else to go.
Yeah. And the life stories that I get from people that were addicted to like drugs or heroin or everything, essentially if they come back and they don't overdose or whatever, their story is when they come to themselves, generally the thread in all of their stories is, I've found God. I gave up and I gave over to God. They found the strength in God that they weren't willing to surrender to, or they weren't willing to acknowledge. They knew it was there, and when they came over, then the life change occurred.
All right.
So
cool.
If God doesn't exist, why talk about him? Why? That just doesn't even. I wouldn't even waste my time in talking about something that's false.
Yeah. No, I hear you in that.
I think that's a worthless.
It's a different conversation, because obviously the addicts that you're talking about,
mm-hmm.
Your story and a lot of the story of a lot of people that I know or we know, the reason why they say they believe in God is mm-hmm. because they've experienced him. and they've experienced something.
Yeah, but they also reached the end of themselves and they surrendered. So it's not just about experience. It's about loss. It's about surrender.
Yeah.
And after they got to that place, then they experienced something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's still an experience there.
Yeah, it is.
But so my point being, if they were to surrender, which I think a lot of people would say that they surrendered, but yet there's been no experience.
Well, yeah, if you surrender and you give over to a higher power, God, whatever you call it, then there's going to be a life change. That's what surrender is. Not that you're perfect after that, but you're going to see a life change. And you're going to see that person develop into a different individual than they were previously, even to the point where they're totally different. They don't even recognize what they used to be.
All right. That was sort of a rabbit trail, but let's keep going.
Drowning in my tears, trying to pray for something. Wonder why you give us life for you to take it from us. Wonder why you give us family, then erase it from us. Maybe, hopefully, you can have a conversation with us. Maybe I'm just probably tripping cause I need a hug. The hood can't find jobs, now we need a plug. Everybody and their mama trying to be a thug. I don't go to church cause I'm afraid of being judged. I've been staring at the ceiling as
Just stop it there real quick at that line. I'm afraid to go to church because I'm afraid of being judged. Common, very, very common belief that people have, or maybe misconception, maybe not misconception.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that religion at the core judges people. I think that we consciously or unconsciously judge people. But, I mean, the reality is that, the Bible says the Bible does the judging, not us. I mean, it's that defines it. So it's like a friend of mine that was talking to another person, and they were in a lifestyle that wasn't pleasing according to the Bible. And this person was mad at this Christian. And finally the guy said, listen, all I'm trying to do is follow the Bible. I'm not mad at you. I'm just trying to follow the Bible and point out the fact that the way that you're living, you're not happy, and the lifestyle that you're in is not pleasing to God. That's all I'm doing. I like you. I'm not mad at you. And as soon as the person heard that the individual was not judging them, but trying to live according to, they like relaxed and like listened to them for the first time when they felt like it wasn't a personal judgment, but they were truly trying to follow what was written in the Bible. They listened, and ultimately they ended up changing and coming out of that lifestyle they were in and made a change. So yeah, I think it is perception that, and it's not perception, it's reality, and that religion does judge people, and we have to catch ourselves and when we're there and really get to know the person, get to know the heart of the person.
Yeah, I think it's. I would say there's truth to it as well.
What's that?
That, you walk into church and you're quickly judged.
But you know what? That happens anywhere.
Yeah.
Let's just take it out of church. You walk in a store. You walk into, for a job interview. You walk into, wherever, and people look at you and they're going to form an opinion. You call that a judgment? They're going to form an opinion.
Yeah. No, there's no arguing with that.
But the first impressions don't need to stay first impressions.
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing with that at all. I completely agree with that. I think the difference that people see in being judged in a church versus being judged in a supermarket is that if you're judged in a church, people make a judgment call that you're personally, they're living in sin, they're a sinner, and unless they get saved somehow, they're going to hell. It's like the judgment call in the supermarket is they might look lazy or ratty or whatever, but the judgment call in the church is it's a lot more personal. It's a lot more you're calling me because of the way I look, I'm a bad person. I think that's what people get at you're right. There's no getting around that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so the other factor is, how do you live? Do you want to live love conscious or sin conscious? And see, religion lives sin conscious, but I believe that Jesus taught we need to live love conscious.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Feeling as a line bet. Watching niggas follow trends like Simon says. I pray you give us back the real ones and try again. Or maybe take them niggas that deserve to die instead. Tommy Lauren run her mouth and then she get defensive. Lauren Ingram laughing at death and disrespecting. I really feel like you should teach them stupid hoes a lesson. Either that or give us back somebody who deserved the blessings. I left out a bunch of names that I forgot to mention. Cost too much to pay attention and it got expensive. Father, forgive me for I know not what I do, and now I'm reaching out to you hoping you hear me and return the message. I know that you got our back and that you're not against us. Or maybe you just love us so you doing shit to test us. I just kinda thought that you would do more to protect us. They say the good die young and I ain't on the guest list.
I think we're relatively close to the end, but he's saying a lot in there. So what do you think? Any thoughts?
You know, he's recognizing that he wishes that some of the people in his mind that were good people would be brought back, and the other people in his mind that were bad, you know, it was okay for them to be gone. And so in some sense, he's really setting himself up as God, that he's making a decision of who's good and who's bad. Because again, who sets the standard? Right, as he's trying to say it, he's really setting his standard of saying, he's looking at these people and saying, they're good, God, I wish you'd bring them back. And he's looking at other people and says, you know, I'm glad they're gone.
Yeah.
So really he's setting himself in a position of deciding human fate or human life.
Yeah. And I think regardless of what you believe, if you believe in God or not, that it's not, you should never try to make yourself into that, into like you being the judge of life and death,
right,
and who should live or die. And I also think, just on the part of what you were, I don't know if this really relates to the video, but on the part of what you were saying of like he's deciding who should live and who dies kind of thing, he's also saying like this person's good, this person's not, and it's like, but what dictates that? You know, it's like the worst person in the world. I don't know. Obviously, this is.
Yeah, like for instance, you could have a brilliant scientist that could have a breakthrough to cancer, but in his private life, he's a pedophile. So, are you suggesting that then the good of the breakthrough to cancer that he brought forth overshadows the fact that he was a pedophile?
Yeah,
you see, you know, he puts us in real dilemmas. We as humans tend to look at one characteristic and say, oh, that's good, and that cancels out the other, but God sees it all, and so, you know, that's why I leave it to him rather than try to put me in that position.
Being love conscious.
Yeah, be love conscious.
Yeah. All right, I think we're close to the end.
Yeah.
I've been drinking, Lord, forgive me as my blood racing. I don't know what I'm thinking, I'm just frustrated. I don't mean to question you, I'm just confused. I don't know what else to do. I've been patient and it sucks waiting. Took my mans from me, that forever hurts. But putting the blame on you, that'll never work. I know this ain't your fault, it's the devil's work. Devil's work.
Well, I wasn't expecting that ending.
Well, the song is called Devil's Work.
No. I really feel like he nails it at the end.
Yeah?
Because he realizes he's frustrated. He realizes that he doesn't have the right perspective. And he realizes that the devil's working on him in a way that he recognized that the devil's speaking to him more than God is.
Or do you think it's the devil's work that... See, I interpreted it differently. I interpret it as like all the people who died, all the people who, like, the things that he doesn't understand, like all the bad things that happened, that's the devil's work.
Yeah, I just interpreted, yes, he's reflecting upon what he's just said in the song, but his ending conclusion is, I'm frustrated, I don't understand this, and I realize now it's the devil's work.
Yeah.
That is confusing his mind, as well as taking the wrong people and leaving taking the wrong people, leaving. What am I saying? Taking the wrong people and leaving the evil people or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, figure it out. But yeah. So that, I don't know. I thought he summed up there in the last 10 seconds the reality of he's frustrated. It's not making sense, and he realizes the devil's tricking his mind and his thinking. It's not clear.
All right. Well, that's that. Let us know what you thought about it down in the comments. There was a lot of rabbit trails in this video, but at the same time, they have to do with the video. So
That's right.
Let us know what you guys think, and we'll see you guys next time, whenever that will be.
Exactly. Peace.
Nice.